Welcome to my channel. I'm your friend Summer. In this section, we will still draw a dessert. This dessert may not be the same as the croissants we drew earlier. This excerpt is a pudding. Pudding itself is a material like tofu. Then the shape will be relatively simple. So if we draw this pudding, the challenge is not to shape it. The shape is actually more like an inverted small trapezoid. Then it's more rounded. One difference between our puddings and croissants is that the top of the puddings is especially the caramel-like part. Syrup he will have a relative comparison, smooth. Then there will be such an effect that is more obviously reflective. So if we might deal with the puddings here, that color and the effect of a slightly translucent material was a key point of the treatment. We can also put it on a small plate. Inside the plate, increase a little leftover syrup. General sketch. We can leave it like this for now. The sketch is simple, and then because this round thing is not easy to draw its shape accurately, so we can use some of the tools in PS. We can use the elliptical selection tool. Then create a new layer. Make an oval shape similar to the shape you drew. Then look for stroke under the Edit menu. Then choose a stroke size of 122 pixels. Because my picture is relatively small, so what I chose here is a thinner stroke. If the canvas is larger, the width of the stroke can be slightly strengthened. I don't want this line to look too thick. Then copy the circle again. Then Ctrl+T. Hold down the Shift and Alt keys to zoom in. In this case, it can be enlarged and a figure of one size with concentric circles in the shaped circles above. In this case, use the mobile tool to move down again. This will ensure the circle above and the circle we newly drew below. It is a relationship of concentric circles. Then copy the enlarged shape in the same way. Or Shift and add the Alt key to zoom in. And so we have the size of the plate. And then we can lengthen this plate a little bit vertically. The center line is the same as the original two circles. But we wanted to make the plates a little bit overlooked for this effect. We pulled it a little bit vertically. Not too much, a little. Then copy the circles in the same way, Ctrl+T or Shift, and add the Alt key, and zoom in a little bit on this layer. Then on this layer, directly enlarge the edge of the plate. Add a little bit of thickness to the plate. Then the coatings that should be combined can be slightly combined. The two layers on this plate should be combined. And then the areas that can be obscured by this pudding. Wipe it, don't wipe it too hard. Then go down. Merge the two circles of the lower circle and the upper circle. Then you can use the straight line tool next. We found the line tool in the bottom half of the rectangle tool. Then select the straight tool in the upper half. Default should be path or shape. Then we choose the part with the lower half of the pixel. And you're going to draw lines with the line tool. Then the thickness of the straight tool can be adjusted with curly brackets and small brackets. And that allows us to quickly draw straight lines. Then connect the two areas of the circle. Bottom oval. Wipe the blocked areas in the middle a little bit. Wipe the outside of the cup and the outside of the plate a little bit. And then, this is a little bigger. The lines with uneven edges are slightly closed. Then two caramel parts. We can create another layer. Follow the previous sketch. Let's make up the caramel a little more. The straighter lines on the edges are slightly clearer. Start drawing the circle of the circle. Extremely regular parts. Rubbed into a void. Virtual reality. You can wipe it off if there is a place. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. In that case, we're done with the line draft. Then the two layers of the line draft can be brought together. The next step is to add inherent colors to this diagram. Find this layer of the line draft. We can put the puddings. Add an extension extended by 2 pixels. Add a yellowish color. A yellowish hue. The color is not very suitable. It feels a little greenish. A little bright yellow. Slightly lower saturation, moderate brightness. Then the top half of the caramel area, and the top of the plate. We can also bring less caramel color. We can choose the caramel parts to be slightly more orange red. Fill in a color and take a look. The color is actually okay. We should also expand the constituency. Then fill it in. I just tried a color just now, but it's actually fine. Then, for this little circle of the cup, select the extended selection by the pixels. For the part of the cup and the part of our plate, we can choose a color that is close to white. Circles like the plates are actually okay. So be it. Did you want to add a little thickness to this piece of plate just now? Actually, no need. It's actually possible to make a relatively thin structure. Then these two floors. Or copy it and apply it to the coatings of inherent colors. Create a new mask. Then let's choose the color box for the yellow part first. We can set the light in a position a little to the left. You can choose the color of this yellow inherent color. The brightness goes down, the saturation goes up a little bit. Color tendency, we can go a little bit towards orange. The part on the right and the area near the bottom. Then the top half of the caramel is done on the part of the small projection created on the top of the pudding. Transitions can be added here. Then, if you want to make something relatively delicate, it's just a thinner painting. You can add less transitions here. If you want to be hard, there's no transition to that region there. It's also okay. Then the top half goes. The area of syrup, so do we. You can put the dark side of the syrup in this layer. Draw it as a hole. Syrups have volume. Then the hanging part, the lower area. We can darken it. Right half projection. Or is it a small transition? Take 2 strokes forward. And then this layer, this piece of color now looks a little bit lighter. We can do this on top of the existing color base. We use hue saturation to fine-tune the colors we just painted. It's a little lighter. In this way, you will feel that the syrup may be thicker. Then the white part is also the constituency. Box selection. This area weakens slightly. Add a little bit of color variation. After this step, you still need to copy a layer. Go and create a new layer. We can add another layer of glossy. Now we've found the color of the glossy intrinsic color. Then you can add a little brighter color to the bright parts. still found. A location of different colors. I'm going to try the hue of this color again. Small highlights, because puddings like this. The surface of the material is still relatively smooth. So after the light, there will be a lot of this structure, like small highlights on the bright surface. Add a layer first, then project. The small projection of caramel on the yellow facade can be a little less. A small amount of boundaries. If the surface is smooth, reflections will also be relatively obvious. We can choose a slightly cooler color for the reflective parts. The choice here is high brightness. A reddish color with relatively low saturation. The gray syrup part. In this layer, it is also to increase. A little face that receives light. For this shaped edge, we can again use like leather. Give it this edge a little bit. There are some shapes. Down, hanging down. This syrup also has volume. It does have a polished surface. We can make a brighter surface. The area on the right near the dark side. It also has a slight change of color. Partial reflection on the right. You can bring it. And then like the flat caramel parts. This part can be as a whole. Go a little. Brighten up a bit. And looking at it this way, this layer of brightness on the dark side we just added may not be enough. The brightness can be reduced a little bit. Enhance the shape. Give it a contrast. Then copy again. At this time, you need to add some small highlights. Little highlights. We can do it in white. Add small edges along the body. Add small highlights in the form of dots. The pudding facade can also add some small highlights. The parts around the puddings. We can add a brighter color. Then you can use a slightly cooler color. Let's go to the reflective part again, because the surface of this pudding is relatively smooth. Let's go and strengthen the reflective part. Let's draw this layer first. After painting, wait a minute to adjust this layer. Its opacity. It's a little membrane-like. Then start painting this layer. We can increase the saturation a little bit. And then let's touch up the color again. Because this kind of thing is still relatively moist, we can use a soft-edged brush. Choose an orange color with a slightly higher saturation. Let's take the light part of this syrup. You can brighten it a little bit. Going back is also a little brighter. The reflective one, small noodles a little. Do a little bit of brightening. And the syrup will look more transparent. I feel that this syrup is relatively thin. Not that thick. Thin, with a little bit of light transmission. He will become stronger. And then, if this layer doesn't feel enough, then we can use a color-reducing coating at the end. Still the previous way. Transparent shape layer 4, it turn off the soft edge brush. This is mainly to bring the little highlights we just added at the top. Then, as well as the light receiving areas of the pudding, did a brightening. After this is mentioned. You can also put these small noodles that were originally dark. Rub a little more properly. Strengthen the contrast. And then we colored in the last part of the script. The color of the line draft is slightly lighter. The color tendency is still to go into red. And that's it for our little pudding. In fact, this part of it draws a key point. It is mainly a performance of this material like syrup smooth. For the light part, it will have this small highlight that is more clear. Highlights with pure white to point. And then this smooth material. There will also be a more obvious reflection on its dark side. Whether it's caramel or something like pudding, it all has a reflective one. We can enhance the reflection. And then there's a reflection of the caramel on the surface. This part is actually more like melted water. If there is a brighter thing in the surrounding environment, if there is a light source, it will be reflected on the surface of the object. So we're going to deal with this part. The actual color itself is a relatively appetizing color. It can be done a little faster. And we've done the whole thing. Painting is like making a dessert. It requires patience and care. Pick up your pen. Let's slowly draw a delicious pudding. This is the end of today's lesson. I hope you can feel the fun of painting in the process of drawing pudding. Next time, we will bring more exciting content. Stay tuned.